Smithfield, a town of roughly 22,000 in northern Rhode Island. It hosts, among others, Bryant University, Fidelity Investments, and Citizens Bank. It's the birthplace of Elizabeth Buffum Chase, Gina Raimondo, and former Red Sox announcer Don Orsillo. It's a place of food, shopping, and even some ghosts. We start in a place that, up until recently, I knew nothing about. I'm with author, historian, and paranormal investigator Tom D'Agostino, his wife Arlene, and my wife Laura, who you'll meet later in the episode. Tom's giving me a guided tour of Hanton City, a place originally settled in the late 1600s.
So, we're going to be going in roughly half mile?
Yeah, we're going to do about a half a mile in, and that will take us to 3 of the homes at least of that are visible that were part of the Hanton City, clan here.
There's great beauty here, centuries-old ruins, and ghosts, if you believe in that sort of stuff. And I do. First, we'll look at some of its history, and in the second half, we'll cover the spooky stuff. We'll also visit 3 great businesses in the Smithfield community.
So when you say clan, because it's funny, Hanton City makes it sound like this was some big urban center. This really was more just a homestead, if you will.
It was a small settlement, right. Back then, they needed a lot of land to do anything what we would call scratch farming, because basically you had to work in between the boulders, the rocks, the glacial dumps and everything just to get any kind of crops. The land was given by the king of England after King Philip's War. If you owned land, you were what they call a free man. You could vote, you were somebody. If you didn't own land, well, oh well.
But the Hantons were an actual family.
Yes, it's funny because there's actually over 15 different spellings for them, not only by themselves, by other people, but in the census records. You have Herndine, Herondine, Harrington, Harrington, Hanton. I mean, so many different ones. There's a story where 3 of the brothers, they were brought to court for an inquiry. And one gave his name as Herndine, the other gave his name as Herndon, and the other one said, "I'm Tom Hanton." And the justice of the peace looks at it and goes, "If all 3 of you are brothers, why do you have 3 different names?" And he said, basically, one of them said, "Well, we're all the same last name, it's just how we pronounce it."
That's hysterical.
And this was also part of the indigenous people's land, who long after the war, they still lived here and hung with the white settlers, and they worked all together in peace and harmony, and until basically everybody just either moved out or died off.
Unbelievable. So when did this officially come to an end?
Most people conclude that around the mid-1830s it was largely abandoned, because in the 1880s they did a story on it for the journal, and they came to a cellar hole, and there was a tree growing out of it, and they figured the tree to be about maybe 100 years old or less.
Yeah.
Somebody had left that home and it had fallen into ruin, and the tree grew out of it. It's a good thing the land trust saved it. I mean, look, here's the old roads are still here. Yeah, according to history records and everything else, Hanton City Trail and Rand Aldrich Trail are among, if not, the oldest roads in Rhode Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Do folks come up here?
Oh yeah, people come up here.
They do?
They come up here to walk their dogs, to hike.
Everybody
thinks it's just it's an abandoned village out in the middle of nowhere, and they don't realize, look at this road.
After about a quarter mile, we came upon our first house.
Do you know whose house this was?
We think this was the Wilcox house.
Okay.
This was it. There's a well right over there. You can see another area with a small building, which sometimes they had birthing sheds, or like if they had a little bit of livestock, a horse maybe.
Yep.
They would have an area like that. They'd dig in. Birthing sheds were usually dug in a little too, so they're cool, so when the livestock had babies and everything, to keep them cool and whatnot. Amazing is how they lived and had, what we wouldn't even know today because of our modern society and everything else, how they did it. They're very well done. The masons of the time were amazing.
If you've ever tried to dig a hole anywhere in the north of Rhode Island, you're going to hit, as my father-in-law used to call them, Foster rubies.
Yeah.
You know, these
Probably-
giant stones. It's
Probably more than half of these rocks came from that hole.
yeah,
Which made it easy to make the hole. But,
I guess. Yeah. But still, you gotta work your way around them.
You know, it was all a lot of handwork.
My wife and I put a porch on the back of our house like 3 years ago. It's rotted and falling apart.
Right
This
there.
thing is 300 years old.
Yeah, I know, huh? They also would have had an ice house. And this is the cool thing about the ice house is you can tell an ice house, if they had one, because it would have 2 walls. And then they'd fill both sides with tons of meadow grass. And then they'd top it somehow with stone and dirt, of course, and that would keep it preserved from the sun. If you built a good ice house, you would have ice from the time you shoveled the snow into it and packed it down until the next time it was time to shovel the snow in and pack it down.
Do we know approximately how many?
I'm not sure myself because it kept revolving and
Right.
revolving. They didn't have great records. In fact, in the town of Smithfield records and the history of Smithfield, this is just a small chapter, a couple of footnotes, you know, it's just kind of interesting.
While not as bustling as some of the other Smithfield villages, there were certain amenities in Hanton City.
Yeah, it was a school and a meeting house, nothing major.
So they really were like a self-contained unit.
Yeah. So what they would do is they'd make this corn crib, a little building, and they'd put it up on a mound of stones, 4 standing stones, 6 standing stones, and that's where they'd store it. So the critters couldn't get in or dig in, so your corn would be pretty much safe because you made corn meal, corn bread, corn everything. That was like a main staple. They didn't, you know.
It's funny, you think of these people as being much more primitive than us, and in reality,
Much more savvy.
they were. It just amazes me when I hear how people lived, and I go, how could they have done that back then? Huh?
Yeah.
They were smart.
And this is the foundation. It's beautiful though.
Yeah, this
And
is
if you
like,
look, you can see the stone walls to this property.
this is unbelievably intact. Good Lord.
Yeah.
They knew how to build, didn't they?
Yeah, huh?
And do we know whose house this was?
No, not really. They
No.
call it the ox shoe farm because an ox shoes were found over here somewhere. But this is the one that they took up in 1889, said had a tree growing out of it. So.
Coming up, we'll get the ghostly second half of my interview with Tom D'Agostino at Hanton City and my wife's first assignment on the show. But first, which landmark can be found in Smithfield? The Smith Appleby House? The Nathaniel Green Homestead? Or the Gilbert Stewart birthplace? Stick around, the answer is coming up. But first, if you want real estate in Smithfield, you want to talk to Premeer Real Estate.
What is it about the platform that you have as a realtor that gives you that want, that need to be out and amongst the people in the community and to be a part of it in a bigger way?
Yeah, it's funny. I always say real estate is the vehicle to get you to what you want to do, and it's kind of cool because yeah, we sell real estate. That's what we do. However, it allows us to be ourselves and to have a greater mission, and that's what's so great about it is, there's nothing more local than real estate, right? People are buying, selling homes, but we're able to do that. But on top of that, we're now out in the community, and the more that you can be involved in the community, make your neighborhoods better. Help your neighbor, right? It comes down to the very basics of what we are as humans, right?
Right.
Help thy neighbor. Get out there, do good things, build your community, lean on each other. So schools are important. Location as well, right off the highway. So Smithfield, if you're in the Greenville section, the 02828, whoa, that's a big zip. You've got everything close by, but you've got tons of walking trails. There's walking trails on our road trip here. Down the road we were talking about Wolf Hill.
Yeah.
It's great, right across from the police station.
I had no idea.
There's an old wreck that's up there, an old plane wreck that you can check out. And then when you get to the top, you can actually see Providence. There's a skyline of Providence. It's beautiful. People don't know it's there. Because if somebody were to ask me, hey, who are you? What do you do? The first thing out of my mouth is, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son, oh, and I'm also in real estate, and I also do XYZ. So like, I appreciate that, because at the end of the day, our jobs don't define us. It's what we do that matters.
Right. These people really did a nice job, and they didn't do anything crazy prior to the sale. So this was how it looked.
For the most part, yes, some words of advice if you're looking to sell your home. You want to make sure you trust your realtor and there's chemistry. There's a lot of good realtors out there. They don't all blend well with you. Mm-hmm. Find the right one that's got your chemistry, interview a couple, and then from there, build a team and listen to them.
I'm no English major, but I know that that's not the way you spell Premeer.
Let me go into a little detail about it. So first off, PRE stands for Premeer Real Estate, the PRE. The MEER at the end is for our meerkat, Murray. And that is why we spelled it wrong.
We've learned more about meerkats today, kids.
Not only is Murray fun, but he also serves a purpose in the community.
We go to the Smithfield Senior Center. We walk in there, Murray! They're getting big hugs.
If you haven't figured it out yet, Chris is pretty passionate about what he does.
But I suspect that if you didn't have all the kids, that you might almost do this gig for free.
You know, I mentioned earlier is real estate is just the vehicle to get me and our office where we want to be, our agents where we want to be.
A little while ago, I asked which famous landmark could be found in Smithfield: the Smith Appleby House, the Nathaniel Green Homestead, or the Gilbert Stewart birthplace. If you said the Smith Appleby House, you are A+ in your Smithfield trivia knowledge. Don't forget the second half of my interview with Tom D'Agostino at Hanton City is coming up, and it's the ghostly part. But now, my wife Laura gets her first assignment, visiting Ephraim Doumato Jewelers, a business that's been part of the Smithfield community for over 4 decades.
So Matt, can you tell me how you got into jewelry?
Well, my father started this business in 1980. When I got out of college, I sold real estate for a while. And then I said, I think I want to come and work with you. And so I started working here in about 2005, and I fell in love with it. We try to always have different styles, different looks, so that you can change things up. We don't want 4 or 5 different women walking around with the same ring or the same necklace. That's not fair to them, and that's not really very creative.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait a minute. Is this a lab-grown diamond?
That's a lab-grown diamond, and it takes just days to make them instead of millions of years. Wow. So they can also make them to any color, clarity, really any specifications. So I always say it's like the difference between a farm-raised salmon and a wild salmon, right? You're gonna eat the salmon no matter where it came from. It was just, where was it born? So he started in 1980, actually here in Apple Valley Mall. But when he started, they were building this building, and it was a Chinese restaurant. And he used to stand in the window and just watch the construction. He used to say that he wished this was his building. A few years ago, the building came for sale, and we bought it and turned it into our store. And, you know, the building he watched get built 3 years ago is now his. Guys don't have much jewelry to wear, right? We get a ring, we get a chain, maybe some guys wear a chain or a watch. The really cool guys wear earrings.
And you are a really cool guy, Matt.
Thanks. But the wedding band is kind of a way to express yourself. I think my favorite thing is to see people come in that we know and that we like and that we like to talk to. And it's not like, coming here is not like coming to work.
So when you show them a loose diamond, do you help them design anything for that diamond to go in?
Engagement rings are definitely a big part of the business. But diamond jewelry is right up there. Diamond stud earrings, diamond bracelets, necklaces. But probably one of the biggest parts of the business is custom design.
I was curious about what went into the process.
First, we tell them, let's choose the diamond. Let's make sure we get the right shape, the right quality, the right budget. Then we kind of work with the ring. But if they want something really ornate or something very specific, we'll actually take the picture they have and design it on a computer, on a CAD design. We'll show it to them, make sure they like it. Then we print it in wax, and then they can look at that and make sure they still like it. Once they say yes, then we cast it in gold or platinum, set any diamonds, and that's it. There's a lot of jewelry manufacturing still around here that people don't know about.
Rhode Island was once considered the jewelry capital of the world, and today, thanks to places like Ephraim Doumato Jewelers, that tradition carries on.
Sounds like you have a great sense of community here.
Yes, yeah, it's funny because I live in Cumberland, but I feel like I'm from Smithfield. This is like, I feel like it's my town, and you know, people come in, it's like they're visiting us at our house.
And now it's back to Hanton City for part 2 of my conversation with Tom D'Agostino. This time, it's all things paranormal.
It's been called the Haunted City since the 1880s.
So you have a background in the paranormal, and that
41 years, yeah.
absolutely, I love that stuff. How did you get into that?
Oh, we grew up in a haunted house in Greensboro.
Well, that might do it then.
And then when I was in college, my friend bought a house real cheap in Situate, and he said, "Hey, you want to live there for the winter while you're in college?" You know, just live there. Yeah, real cheap. And he said, you know, the gas is on, electricity's on. You just, you know, buy your own food and everything just to watch over it. I lasted 6 days.
You lasted 6 days?
Yeah, it was so unbelievably active.
Oh
Which is
my
probably why I
God.
bought it cheap. When I actually finally moved out, I started studying all the kinds of different sciences to figure out why was this happening.
So back at the Oxshoe House, we began our conversation about ghostly occurrences in Hanton City.
So did you do any of the paranormal stuff
Yes,
here?
I did. We caught something here too.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah. We went to 3 places where we captured something. In fact, a friend of ours came with us one time, and he captured a woman's voice here.
How long does it take for you to set something up?
About a minute.
Okay. We can do that. Now, where does one find the kind of equipment one would need to contact the dead?
Oh, all over the internet. You can make it yourself. All you need really, you know,
Go on the internet.
all over, Ghosts R Us, you know, that kind.
All kidding aside, Tom has some gear, and we got ready to see what might happen.
We're doing some ghost hunting.
Now, this blocks up frequencies like, you know, ball games and WPRO and stuff. And here we are, record level going. We're recording. Now we ask a question. Who lives in this home?
Did you not hear that?
Yeah.
Off there?
Sounded like a frog. This is a cool thing. I just came up with. This is actually what they call a REM, kind of a REM pod. It's nothing more than a theremin. But the thing is,
really?
Yeah, but I put it in a candle because if something energy walks by it, it'll go off. But a candle, if I put out that, you know, the really big REM pods you buy online for $200 and everything, say, "Oh, spirit of 1692, can you grab that REM pod?" They're gonna know exactly what you're talking about, right? So we put it in a candle and say, "Could you hand me that candle?"
And when you are successful doing this, I mean, is it so clear that?
Yes. When I send you some, you're gonna hear them. Yeah. If we don't get anything today, you'll hear them. You'll hear them. The one back there, I think. Remember, what I said, "Is this your home?" He goes, "Yep." I'm like, "Yep, yep." Yep's a very old word. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Is this your house?
How old are you?
What?
I didn't know. I heard it.
I heard it too.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll son of a Tootsie Pop?
The world may never know.
The other world don't even know. This is where we got the one of the women saying help before too.
Help?
We heard that just a few minutes ago. Yeah. Yes, was it? Is anyone here and said help? Just like you heard there.
Tom has written or co-written with Arlene numerous books on the supernatural, including this one, Haunted Rhode Island.
Horror stories and ghosts and everything. It's that kind of mysterious thing that was so untouched. But the ghost books, when I read them were like stories of people's haunted houses and stuff. You couldn't go there. So when we decided to stop writing books, we decided to write books that would be, hey, look, you can visit this place. You know, because the other things you'd go, oh, look, this house is haunted, let's go there. You know, next thing you go, the guy's shooting at you and sicking his Dobermans on you. So we wanted places that the public could actually visit, and we always encourage them, if you go there, please let us know, email us if you found something, I had an experience.
Right.
We actually interact as if we're at a social gathering and they're part of it.
Right.
And
That's a
works.
cool way of thinking about it.
And Arlene uses tarot cards also to field answers to questions, because it's one of the oldest forms of mediumship known to man. So they're going to know that. They're not going to say, hey, can you answer, talk into this tape recorder I've got. You know, like, what?
Show yourself right now.
Yeah.
In your mind, are they just energy?
They are, yeah, I believe that there's several different kinds. First of all, we have the residual, which is the earth actually being magnetic in its way, and New England being full of underground streams and quartz crystals is a natural battery. And when you see something that's residual, the earth is replaying a moment in time. It's not a haunt. It'd be like someone walking down here 7 years from now and seeing us be doing this. We could even be alive.
Huh.
You know? And then there's the
So the earth is a big old, mixtape.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then, yeah, a paranormal party mix. And then there's the ones that are like, real, like they see an actual thing that interacts with them. And you hear the voices and it answers your questions, and that is energy. That's something we cannot explain. If I had to tell you what we actually know, it's about as big, maybe an inch, compared to half this place.
Right.
We know not until we can go on the other side, hang out with Jim Morrison and Elvis, if they're dead, and then come back. We don't know.
Yeah.
We really can only take so much of it from our end, right. our spectrum. It's a science that does have breakthroughs, like you see spirit boxes and things like this, but yet it's a science that's still so far in its infancy. I know what I know, and I know we've actually communicated with with the dead. We've got intelligent answers. It is energy.
Yep.
Because we all are energy. But how is still that major mystery.
Do you have the desire to redo your kitchen? To really make it into the kind of space that's functional and most especially livable? Then the experts at Jay's Broadway Appliance and TV are here to help. With a wide variety of brands and styles, your dream can soon be a reality. See what Smithfield residents have known for years. Visit Jay's for a better kitchen today. And last, but certainly not least, a conversation with my friend Dave Campbell at Cool Air Creations, one of the truly unique businesses in Smithfield.
You guys are ready to go?
Okay. We probably go back at least 20 years, because I started working with you when you were in Woonsocket.
Yes.
Back in the old mill building.
Yes.
A lot has changed since then.
Yes.
We're here in your Smithfield office. I call it a campus.
We call it World Headquarters.
Well, there you go. I don't know that many people that went into the screen printing world and then grew it into this empire.
It's a pretty small industry. You either grew up in this business or you had such an interest in art that you found a job and learned on the job. If we go back, the name Cool Air is because I was an airbrush artist and I was selling airbrushed t-shirts as a kid. One thing led to another and screen printing happened. I literally bought a machine. It was kind of like the next evolution in how do I make more t-shirts, how do I make them faster, how do I make them better. From when I was really little, I was able to just draw anything I wanted.
So when you were doodling as a kid, did you ever once think, I'm going to turn this into a career?
No, actually, when I was a little kid, I was always going to be an art teacher. When I got old enough, I went to college for electrical.
You have a fallback.
I do. Someday I may need it.
I don't think so. anybody who's in the arts, there's always that moment when they have to go to their parents and say, I want to be an actor. Did you have that moment?
Funny story, I tell this story all the time. When I decided I wanted to print t-shirts, my father would put his foot down and said, you're not going to do that, you're going to get a real job. I said, okay, I'm starting a t-shirt business.
Just to defy Dad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, today he's my #1 fan. I started the business in the garage of my parents' house. I was still living at home. I was a kid. Once I moved from there, yes, I rented some space in Woonsocket. I think at the time it was about 1,000 or 1,500 square feet just to get things going. By the time we left Woonsocket, we were up to around 35,000 square feet. But now we're just about 40,000 square feet. We've put a small addition on in the meantime.
And you probably wired the whole place yourself.
I didn't.
That building in Woonsocket,
No longer exists.
she is no more.
She is no more. I have pictures on the walls in the hallway of the day they started demolition on it.
And you have a brick
I do.
from
I have two.
from that building.
I consider that building my start and my upbringing, if you will.
Right.
And I kept a piece of the history for it.
Not that Dave is overly concerned about accolades.
You get the magazine with the top 100, whatever. And we usually rank around the top 20, 25 in the country.
In the country.
In the country. So to be one of the top 25 in the country is doing something. The 2-second elevator pitch is typically, if you want your name on it, we do it.
There are literally hundreds of thousands of applications.
Probably millions. A simple banner, t-shirts, hats, jackets, obvious items, to building signage, vehicle wraps. We've become one of the largest vehicle wrap companies in New England.
And you have a deal, I think, with, is it 3M?
We are a 3M certified shop, what they call a partner shop. Our installers are all certified. They've gone through all of the hours of training.
So Cool Air is a local company for big and small businesses, corporations, and large franchises to mom and pops. But that still doesn't explain how Californians find them.
How do they hear about you? Is it just...
Number 25 in the country.
We're going to hang our hat on that